Hi guys, Olive here today to share with you something shameful. I'm going to show you all of my unread ARCs, which are advanced reader copies, all of my unread ARCs, and all of the unread finished copies that I've been sent for review. I mentioned in my goals video for 2024 that I was on a mission to read through all of my unread ARCs and finished copies that I had scattered around this room, which is my reading room. I wanted to go through all of them because they're taking up space and I feel guilty that I haven't read them yet. So I spent some time going around this room and pulling any books that I can recall being sent from publishers or from my friend Steve Donahue, who sends me ARCs sometimes. I pulled all the ones that I could find and I put them all in one stack so that I could work through that stack over the course of this year. Well, let me tell you, it's a pretty tall pile, hence why I'm feeling rather ashamed right now. Hopefully I won't be feeling that way for too long. I have already started chipping away at that list this month. I put 2 on my TBR for this month, so I won't be showing those in this video since those are already underway. But all of the rest of my unread ARCs I want to show you in today's video. These are the ones that I'm going to be prioritizing through the rest of this year, and I thought I would share this shame stack with you so you get a sense of where I'm starting from and what I'll be working on throughout 2024. I'll start off by showing you the fiction part of this stack, which is smaller than the nonfiction section. Par for the course for my channel. I tend to read more nonfiction than fiction. But these first 2, I was sent completely unsolicited by the publisher. Did not know they were coming, but I was happy to receive them because they sound really good. And I decided I am going to go ahead and read them, even though I didn't request them. These 2, one of them I think came out a while ago, and the other one I believe comes out next month. They are Where Waters Meet and Aftershock, both by Zhang Ling. Where Waters Meet is about a daughter who tries to unearth some of her mother's secrets following her mother's death. And then Aftershock is about some of the heart-wrenching decisions that a Chinese family has to make following an earthquake. Both of these sound fantastic. As I said, I didn't request either one of these, but I'm still really excited to read them. This next one came out the whole way back in 2020. It's called 3 Apples Fell from the Sky by Nareen Abgaryan. This is set in a remote village in the Armenian mountains, and a plot is hatched by the residents of this area to try to bring 2 of the long single villagers together, like in a romantic sense. This sounds so sweet. I can always use a good romance. Even just talking about this one, I'm excited about it all over again. My friend Steve sent me this next one a really long time ago. I don't even know how long ago, but I think the book was actually out by the time he sent this ARC, so I wasn't exactly behind in that sense, although I definitely am now. But that book is called Stork Mountain by Miroslav Pankov. This is about a young Bulgarian man who returns to his home country in search of his grandfather. From what I recall, I do believe I started this one. I remember certain plot points, but I know for a fact I did not finish it. So I'm going to go back and do that this year. Steve also sent me a copy of My Absolute Darling by Gabriel Talent a really long time ago. This is about a young teenage girl who grows up under the influence of a toxic father, until one day she meets a boy, and together they start to imagine up a way that she could possibly escape her father. I don't know why I haven't picked this one up yet. It seems like I'm going to love this. I don't know how I'm going to feel about Lessons by Ian McEwan. I just spoke in a video recently about how I've had very mixed results with his novels. I was intrigued by this one because it seemed rather reminiscent of Atonement, which is one of his novels that I do really love. Apparently, it's about a man's life across the decades, and apparently different European historical events come into play. Those have an impact on the main character's life. I'm going to try to go into this one with very limited expectations. I'm just going to read it and see how it goes. I am very intrigued by The Other Side of Night by Adam Hamdy. This is a twisty-turny novel full of surprises, and from what I hear, it is best to go into this one knowing as little as possible. So in my videos, I normally try to describe what a book is all about, but because I am trying not to learn anything about this before I read it, I can't provide that yet. Hopefully, after I have read this, I can come back and talk to you about this book in a non-spoilery way. Next, Scribe, the publisher Scribe, sent me 2 different books. There's Keeping in Touch by Anjali Joseph, which is about a dysfunctional love affair between a British investor and an art curator who first met at Heathrow Airport. The other one they sent me, it's rather intimidating. it's called The Eighth Life by Nino Haratiashvili. This is an epic, and by that I mean epically long, multi-generational family saga starring a Georgian family. I will not lie to you. It was absolutely the length of this one that scared me off from reading it, however long ago I first received it, but I'm going to be brave this year, and I'm going to dive in at some point. Then I also have 3 books that were sent to me by Counterpoint. The first one is called The Apartment by Ana Menendez. This book is about an Art Deco apartment building in South Beach, Miami, and all of the changes that it's been witness to over its nearly 70 years of existence. I was actually just in South Beach very briefly at the end of last year, and my husband and I stayed in an Art Deco hotel. I kind of wish I would have brought this along to read while I was there. I know I wouldn't have had time to finish it, but I'm sure when I do get around to reading this book, it will take me right back there mentally. And I am glad that it will do so because it was beautiful there. They also sent me Improvement by Joan Silber, which is about a young single mother living in New York whose boyfriend is drawing her into a cigarette smuggling scheme. And the third one they sent me is called You Are Here by Karen Lynn Greenberg. This is all about the closure of a shopping mall in upstate New York and the impacts that has on the entire town and its residents. The last novel in this shame stack came to me courtesy of the publisher Spiegel and Grau. A little while back, one of their employees was kind enough to send me a big stack of all of their upcoming titles at the time, and that included The Boys by Katie Hafner. This is about a newly married couple that starts to foster 2 Russian boys at the start of the pandemic. But since I mentioned those books that Spiegel and Grau sent me, I will show you the rest of the ones they sent my way. One of them I will not be including in this video since I'm reading it during the month of January. So if you want to see what that is, if you haven't already seen my January TBR, be sure to check that out. I will link it for you below and up in the cards. But the remaining 3 books they sent me are all nonfiction, which leads me very nicely into the nonfiction portion of this video. The first of those 3 nonfiction books that they sent to me is called A Heart That Works by Rob Delaney. This is the memoir of a man whose 1-year-old son was diagnosed with a brain tumor right after his entire family had moved to London. I have heard spectacular things about this one. Another memoir they sent me is called Everything Nothing Someone by Alice Carriere. This is the author's coming-of-age story in the 1990s. She had a very unconventional upbringing with an artist mother and a European actor father. And the last one they sent me is called Bravehearted, The Women of the American West by Katie Hickman. I actually read the early pages of this one during Nonfiction November 2022, and I really enjoyed what I read. So I am eager to go back and finish this. But back to memoirs, I have a couple from Random House to show you, and this first one I got in a very unusual way. Over the summer, I saw a social media post from this Chicago bookshop called Exile in Bookville. They were announcing that they had to be closed over the July 4th weekend, one of their best sales weekends of the entire summer, because a NASCAR race was being held right outside of their store. So their street was going to be closed, meaning that it would have been nearly impossible for their staff and probably any customers to be able to get into the store. So they had to make the really hard decision to close. So they put out a call to anyone who wanted to order from them to place an online order to help them through what was a very unfortunate situation. I really felt for them, so I decided to place an order with them. I decided to buy a couple books from them that I had every intention of picking up new anyway. And in the package, once I received it, they gave me a complimentary ARC. And it's of a book that's actually slated to come out at the end of this month. It's called Subculture Vulture by Moshe Kasher. Apparently this book is a tour of deep American subcultures like Burning Man and Alcoholics Anonymous, amongst others. I have no idea what to expect from this one, but I am definitely intrigued because it's such a good story of how this found its way to me. It feels like kismet. The other memoir that I have from Random House, I got the old-fashioned way, meaning that I requested it from the publisher, they sent it to me. End of story. That book is called The Impossible City by Karen Chung. In this book, the author discusses her own personal experiences in Hong Kong and then all of the issues that are currently affecting the city. The next 2 on my stack I received as the result of winning Goodreads giveaways, which these days I don't enter that much anymore because, well, you see how big my stack of ARCs is already. It's not as though I need any more. But this first one is called The People's Hospital, Hope and Peril in American Medicine by Ricardo Nuila. In this book, the author takes us inside of a publicly funded hospital in Houston, Texas, where he has practiced medicine for over a decade. I just very recently closed out 2023 with a book by Atul Gawande, who is a surgeon. I talked all about that book called Complications in my December wrap-up if you're interested in hearing about that. But because I just finished that so recently, I'm really feeling books about medicine right now. But the other book on my stack that I won in a Goodreads giveaway, I won this at least a decade ago, possibly longer. This book came out in 2013, if that tells you anything. I've tried to read this in earnest several times, and I just have not managed to succeed in finishing it. And I don't know why. It's called Time Warped: Unlocking the Mysteries of Time Perception by Claudia Hammond. I really don't know what my problem is because this is totally my kind of thing. It makes no sense that I haven't finished this book yet, but I'm going to do it this year. I have to. But back to medical stories, just for one moment, I also have a copy of American Sirens, the incredible story of the Black men who became America's first paramedics by Kevin Hazard. If the medical element of this didn't already intrigue me, as I said, those types of books are really calling my name right now, there's also the fact that these men came from Pittsburgh, the city in which I live. I love reading anything to do with Pittsburgh. And then to top it all off, my friend Denise over at La Rosa Reads, this was her very favorite book of 2023. We recently just had a coffee date, and she gushed about how amazing this is. So this is a priority for sure. I was also sent a couple of sports books. One of those is called 41 Love on Addictions, Tennis, and Refusing to Grow Up by Scarlett Thomas. This is the memoir of a novelist who went back to playing tennis in her 40s after not having played since she was a child. The other sports book I was sent came to me from a small Canadian publisher called Sutherland House. That book is called Year of the Rocket by Paul Woods. And this is about how a struggling Toronto football team was acquired by a very unlikely trio back in 1991. Another book I was sent by a small publisher is called Roar of the Sea by Deb Vanessy. And this is about how political happenings in Alaska's Bering Sea had a very severe impact on the fur seal population, but then also how a self-taught artist stepped in to help the seals. I have a small handful of other nature books as well. One of those is called Two Trees Make a Forest by Jessica J. Lee. This is a memoir all about the author's travels to Taiwan to learn more about her family. Around the same time I received that last one, I was also sent a copy of The Sisterhood of the Enchanted Forest by Naomi Moriyama and William Doyle. This was written by a husband and wife. They talk about their time spent in the Karelian forest and how Naomi bonded with a group of women there. But then just very recently, I requested a copy of Otter Country by Miriam Darlington, which comes out in February here in the United States. This was one of my most anticipated releases of this first quarter of the year. This is one I'm looking forward to reviewing here very soon. But conversely, a long time ago, I was sent a copy of The Language of Butterflies by Wendy Williams, which is a book all about the captivating appeal of these insects. This book is so gorgeous. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. But speaking of being captivated, I have also been hanging on to an arc of Seduction by Clement Knox, which apparently tells stories of seduction throughout history. I also have two books on this pile that involve music. One of those is Lev's Violin by Helena Attlee. And in this book, the author tracks down the complex history of a single violin. But the other book on music, I had actually asked my friend Steve to hunt down this arc for me because I couldn't wait to read it. I was thinking about reviewing it. I even started this over the summer. I had very good intentions, but then my summer got really busy with travel and other things going on, and I didn't get to finish it. But that does not mean I don't want to finish it. It's called Where Are Your Boys Tonight by Chris Payne. This is an oral history of emo music, which was very popular in the early 2000s when I was a teenager in high school. I think of all the books on this stack, this is probably the one that I am most excited to go back to and finish. I loved emo music back in the day, and I still do, if I'm being honest. But then on this stack, I also have a book that Steve requested a publisher send to me because he thought I'd be really interested in it. It's called The Soviet Century by Karl Schlogel. This is a terrifyingly long history of everyday life in the Soviet Union. And I am very interested in this topic. Steve had it right, but I'm intimidated by this book's length, not just because of the amount of time it's going to take me to get through this, but also just the logistics of trying to read this. Like, how am I going to hold this without getting hand cramps? It hurts already. How is it going to feel however many hours in? So I am interested. I do want to give it a try. I'll do my best. I'll see what I can do. But then the last book I have to show you in this video is the one that was sitting on the very bottom of my shame stack. It is a very hyped graphic memoir called Ducks by Kate Beaton, in which this author talks about her experience working in the oil sands for 2 years. She picked up the job because she was trying to pay off her student loans. And she talks about it and shows parts of that experience in this graphic memoir. I have heard some amazing things about this one. I need to stop putting this off and just read it. So those are all of the unread arcs that I'll be working through this year. I am obviously not pleased that it's such a big stack, and it doesn't even include any of the digital arcs that I would also like to make a dent in over the course of this year. Getting free books is fun. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely appealing. But at least for me, the other side of that coin is guilt if you don't end up finishing any of the books you've been sent. Just a little piece of learned wisdom from me to any new reviewers out there. Please learn from my mistakes. Let me know what books on this stack you're interested in reading, or if you're interested in seeing me review any of these here on my channel. I will definitely try to prioritize the ones that people request reviews of. So let me know which ones you are interested in seeing me review down in the comment section below. All the books that I spoke about today will be listed and linked for you in the description box below. They will all be there for your clicking convenience. And at the very bottom of the exact same description box, you will also see links to everywhere you can find me around the internet, like Goodreads, Instagram, the Story Graph, all the places I'm the most active, in case you want to keep up with what I'm reading and doing right now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.